Imagine that before falling asleep, you only need to utter a few words, and your reality begins to change. Not after years of effort or complex practices, but simply because you align your consciousness at the most opportune moment. It may sound like a fairy tale, but this method is grounded in a profound understanding of the nature of consciousness. Those who have mastered it no longer doubt that thoughts and images truly shape reality. There are numerous techniques to bring you closer to your desires, yet most require time and effort. But what if there's a simpler way? The great thinker and mystic of the last century, Neville Goddard, asserted that the most potent moment of influence is the instant before sleep. It's then that consciousness opens up, and desire becomes the program by which the world begins to operate. But why does this happen? Why, when we close our eyes, can a single phrase direct the full power of the subconscious toward fulfilling a dream? And most importantly, why do so many people, even knowing this, not utilize the method? Today, we'll delve into all of this in detail. We'll explore techniques that work unfailingly, identify the mistakes that hinder results, and, most crucially, learn how to enter the pre-sleep state correctly so the universe listens. Every evening we fall asleep, yet few consider that it's precisely at this moment our future is created. The brain disconnects from external stimuli, consciousness loosens its grip, and the subconscious remains unguarded. Everything that enters it during this time takes root more deeply than any daytime affirmation. As one drifts into sleep, the boundary between reality and imagination blurs. This isn't just a poetic image, but a real process studied by scientists and mystics across eras. Neville Goddard understood that in the transitional state between wakefulness and sleep, one gains access to the most powerful force, the creative force. Psychologists refer to this state as hypnagogia, the moment when consciousness hasn't fully shut down but is already yielding to internal images. It's like a short bridge between daily reality and the depths of the subconscious. Here, strong connections between thoughts and future events are formed. However, there's a nuance. If one falls asleep with anxiety, fear, or doubt, that's what gets embedded in their life. The mind accepts it as a program and starts seeking confirmation in reality. That's why those who fall asleep thinking about problems encounter new difficulties, while those who learn to manage this moment seem to ride a wave of fortune. Neville Goddard claimed that the right phrase before sleep isn't a plea or supplication but a firm declaration that the desired has already occurred. The difference is significant. When one asks for something, they affirm its absence. When they assert that the desired is already realized, they solidify it in their reality. But there's an important point. The phrase shouldn't be uttered mechanically, but accompanied by a feeling as if it has already happened. It's the emotion that initiates the materialization process. If the words remain empty, they won't work. Which phrases work best? One recommended by Goddard is, "Thank you, it's already all mine." Short, simple, and without resistance. Gratitude immediately creates a sense of completion. It's not "I want," not "let it happen," but "it's already done." But why gratitude specifically? The brain doesn't distinguish between real and imagined experiences. If one genuinely feels gratitude, the mind takes it as a signal that the desired has already occurred, and the universe begins to align circumstances with this belief. A crucial nuance: don't just repeat the phrase mechanically. Feel it with every cell of your body, as if you're truly thankful for what you've already received. In this state, consciousness opens up, and the materialization process starts instantly. Yet there's another detail often overlooked, even by those who practice this method. Regular affirmations don't always work. The reason is simple. The mind doesn't believe the spoken words. They remain empty sounds. Neville Goddard understood this and developed a technique that bypasses the mind's resistance and initiates the materialization process. His method consists of 4 key steps. The first step is emotional saturation of the image. Imagination is the language of the subconscious. It doesn't understand logic but responds instantly to images. Therefore, before sleep, one shouldn't just say a phrase but create a vivid picture of what they desire. Goddard advised imagining not the process of achieving the goal, but the moment when the desire has already been fulfilled. For example, if someone dreams of financial well-being, they shouldn't imagine themselves working or signing a contract but see themselves already holding money. making a desired purchase, or celebrating success. The main thing is to feel joy, satisfaction, and calm confidence. Without emotions, the image remains empty. With emotion, it becomes reality. The second step is the point of falling asleep. This moment is crucial. Ordinary thoughts and desires during the day face the mind's resistance. What if it doesn't work? It's impossible. But when one falls asleep, logical control weakens, and everything felt at that moment penetrates deep into the subconscious. Goddard called this state the open door. It's important to enter it with the right feeling, not of expectation but of an already accomplished fact. One should fall asleep not with the thought, let it happen, but with the inner knowledge it's already happened. The third step is experiencing the result. This is the most underestimated aspect of the practice. Most people fall asleep thinking about problems and wake up wondering why the new day brings the same worries. Goddard suggested a simple method. Before sleep, mentally play out a scene where the desire has already been fulfilled. It should be something simple, short, but emotionally rich, like a conversation with a friend where you share joy or the feeling of touching the desired object. It's important not just to see it in your mind, but to feel how the voice sounds, what smells are present, what bodily sensations occur. The more realistic the scene, the faster it manifests in life. The fourth step is uttering the key phrase. Once the image fully saturates consciousness, right before falling asleep, say, "Thank you, it's already all mine." These aren't just words, but the final point that solidifies reality. They should sound not as a request, but as a fact. Goddard knew that gratitude is a powerful signal to the subconscious that the desire has already been fulfilled. Many people try the technique, follow all the instructions, but after some time, become disappointed. I did everything right, but nothing changed. Why does this happen? The mistake lies in the fact that consciousness can accept a new reality only when there's no internal contradiction. If a person goes to bed with a heavy heart and then tries to forcibly instill joy and gratitude, an internal conflict arises. One voice says, "Thank you, it's already mine," while another counters, "But that's not true." This inner discord nullifies the entire technique. Goddard was aware of this and offered important advice. Before applying the method, one must convince themselves of the new state's reality. Not just utter words, but truly feel it. This isn't magic or self-deception, but a conscious shift in perception. Imagine you already have what you want. How would you behave? What would you think about? How would you breathe? How would you move? True transformation happens when a person doesn't just recite a phrase, but lives within it, feeling it as something natural and already real. There is one powerful way to bypass the resistance of the conscious mind. Ask yourself, what if it's true? This question gently opens the door to a new perception. It doesn't require you to fight your doubts. It simply invites your awareness to consider another possibility. And it's in this openness that the shift sinks deeper. Those who use this technique often see results much faster. They don't wait for the desire to come. They live as if it already exists, and reality rearranges itself to match that inner state. Once you begin to notice how your inner condition truly affects the events around you, a desire arises to explore it more deeply. Sometimes, even a small change in perception is enough for unexpected, yet entirely natural, changes to begin unfolding in your life. And now, let's look at real stories of people who succeeded in manifesting their desires using the "thank you, it's already all mine" technique. One of the main reasons Neville Goddard's method works is its universality. Regardless of the area in which a person wants to see change, if they apply the technique correctly, reality begins to conform to their new inner state. Here are a few real-life stories from people who applied this technique and achieved results. How a man eliminated debt in 3 months. One entrepreneur found himself in a difficult financial situation. Debts were growing, income was shrinking, and stress was building. He discovered Goddard's technique and decided to give it a try, despite initial skepticism. Every evening before bed, he visualized that all his bills were fully paid and his bank balance was steadily increasing. He didn't just repeat the phrase, "Thank you, it's already all mine." He felt the freedom of being debt-free. To his surprise, his income multiplied, he received a major contract, and an unexpected inheritance helped clear all his obligations. He insists that the key was changing his inner state before sleep. A healing story that seemed impossible. A woman diagnosed with a serious illness turned to Goddard's method in hopes of improving her condition. She imagined herself completely healthy, felt lightness in her body, and gave thanks for her recovery. After a few weeks, her test results began to improve, and 6 months later, doctors found no signs of the illness. Her approach was simple. Every evening, she entered the state of, "I am healthy," and sealed it with gratitude. A love story. How a woman attracted her ideal partner. One woman had struggled for years to find a harmonious relationship. She felt alone and unfulfilled until she applied Goddard's technique and shifted her inner state. Every evening before sleep, she imagined herself loved, felt the warmth of being embraced, and thanked the universe for the love in her life. Within a couple of months, she randomly met a man who completely aligned with her vision of an ideal partner. What unites all these stories? They show that the key is not in trying to control reality, but in changing your inner state. When a person truly feels that they already possess what they desire, reality begins to adjust to that feeling. Goddard's technique is simple, but for it to truly work, it's essential not just to repeat a phrase, but to approach the process correctly. You can start right now without waiting for perfect conditions. The first step is to clearly define your desire and vividly imagine what exactly you want to receive. Financial well-being, health, harmonious relationships, creative success. It doesn't matter which area you expect changes in. What matters is that you phrase it as if the desire has already come true. Instead of, "I want to be rich," say, "My finances are steadily growing." Instead of, "I want to recover," say, "My body is filled with health and energy." Instead of, "I want to find love," say, "I live in a happy relationship." The less your words carry the energy of longing and lack, the faster they begin to manifest in your life. The next step is to create a vivid image in your mind where everything you dream of has already happened. This moment should be alive, full of detail. If it's about money, imagine how good it feels to hold it in your hands, how easily you make purchases, how a sense of financial freedom fills you. If it's about health, feel the energy and strength in your body, how every movement brings you joy. If it's about relationships, feel your loved one's smile, the two of you sitting on the couch watching an inspiring film or walking through a park together, exchanging gifts. Feel their touch, the warmth and comfort of their presence. The more vivid the image and the deeper your feeling of happiness in that moment, the stronger the impression on your subconscious. Once the mental picture becomes clear enough, it's important to anchor it with a feeling of gratitude. Right before falling asleep, in that relaxed and open state of consciousness, simply whisper to yourself, "Thank you. It's already all mine." Not as a request, not as hope, but as a fulfilled fact, like a gift you've already received. In that moment, your subconscious accepts this new reality and begins to build external circumstances accordingly. After that, just fall asleep while maintaining the feeling of confidence and peace. Don't try to analyze or check when exactly the desire will come true. Simply allow yourself to enjoy the state as if everything has already happened. And in the morning, don't wake up thinking, "Did it work?" Don't look for signs or test reality for changes. Everything has already been set in motion. You simply need to continue living with the sense that what you desire is inevitable, and then it will begin to manifest in the most unexpected ways. This method doesn't work through effort, but through inner state. Many people give up too early, expecting an instant miracle. But those who commit to it daily begin to see that change often comes much faster than they imagined. Neville Goddard often emphasized not merely visualizing once, but dwelling in the state of the wish fulfilled. This is more than a bedtime ritual. It is a conscious lifestyle, a chosen state of being that one returns to again and again until it becomes natural. While the transitional moment before sleep offers the deepest access to the subconscious, it is during waking life that the foundation of your inner world is laid. Each thought, every emotional reaction, And each quiet assumption is like a drop of water nourishing the seed planted in the dark soil of the subconscious. To live in the end means to assume and emotionally inhabit the state in which your desire is already fulfilled. You are no longer someone trying to get there, you are already there. You don't just imagine a relationship, a career, or healing. You become the version of yourself who already lives in that reality. One of Goddard's students once asked him, "But what if I just can't feel it's real?" Goddard responded, "Then you persist, gently but persistently, until it feels natural. The subconscious accepts what feels normal, not what is logically proven. Therefore, repetition of the feeling is key. The more you return to the state of having, the less resistance the mind offers." Let's take an example. Imagine someone who wants to move to another country but doesn't yet have the visa, the funds, or the opportunity. Instead of waiting for reality to change, they begin to live in the end. They imagine waking up in a new city, hearing the different sounds outside their window, walking familiar streets, speaking the local language. They feel the pride of overcoming obstacles, the excitement of adventure, and the inner peace that comes from being home. Throughout the day, they walk as if they already live there. And slowly, circumstances begin to shift. A job offer arrives, a visa process opens, and synchronicities align. Why? Because the outer reflects the inner. This practice is not about denial or pretense. It is about identity. If you feel yourself to be abundant, you stop worrying about bills. If you feel yourself to be loved, you stop chasing validation. You begin to act differently, and the world responds to your new state. Neville explained it this way: "You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are." That is why imagining once, with no emotional engagement, often fails, but emotionally dwelling in the feeling changes everything. Here's a simple exercise to practice this throughout the day. Choose a small, specific desire, like receiving a compliment or a message from someone. Close your eyes for 1 minute and feel what you would feel if that thing had already happened. Imagine someone congratulating you, or your phone lighting up with the message. Now carry that feeling with you. Let it shape your posture, your expression, your energy. Repeat this several times a day. Over time, this will become your natural state, and life will catch up. When you live in the end, you are not controlling reality with force, you are magnetizing it through resonance. And that is where true power lies, in silent certainty, not in desperate effort. Let this chapter remind you, the future is not something you wait for, it's something you embody now. One of the most overlooked teachings in Neville Goddard's work is this: you don't just imagine a different life, you imagine a different you. To bring about a new reality, you must embody the identity of the person for whom that reality is already normal. Most people try to change their circumstances while clinging to their old self-image. They say, "I want abundance," but still feel like someone struggling. They say, "I want love," but still identify as lonely. The outer world does not respond to the words or wishes, it mirrors the inner sense of self. Therefore, real change begins not with the desire itself, but with the decision to become the version of yourself who lives that desire naturally. Goddard often said, "Dare to assume you are what you want to be, and you shall become it." This is not about pretending or acting. It is about accepting the new identity as real, emotionally and psychologically, until it takes root as your new baseline. Let's consider an example. A woman who wants to become a successful writer. Instead of endlessly wishing or affirming, she begins to inhabit the state of an author. She sees herself receiving feedback from readers, holding her book in her hands, giving interviews, and most importantly, feeling confident in her voice. She changes how she thinks about herself. When asked what she does, she replies, "I'm a writer." Even before she's published, she lives and breathes that identity. And over time, her reality begins to reflect that inner shift. Ideas flow, opportunities arise, and doors open seemingly out of nowhere. It is not magic, it is alignment. Neville taught that your concept of self is like a mold. Your life pours itself into that mold and takes its shape. If you want new outcomes, you need a new mold, a new self-image. How do you build this new identity? Here are 3 powerful steps. Identify the version of yourself who already has what you want. Ask, what would I believe about life if my desire were fulfilled? How would I carry myself? What would I say, do, or feel? Create daily moments where you step into this version. Before meetings, before bed, or during walks. Take a breath and feel, I am now the one who has this. Let your body, thoughts, and energy reflect that. Even for just a minute. Over time, this becomes your natural state. Notice and neutralize the old voice. The former self will try to speak. This is not realistic. It hasn't happened yet. Don't fight these thoughts. Gently say, that was the old me, and return to your chosen state. Neville gave the example of a man who imagined himself promoted at work. He didn't just think about the raise. He felt respect from colleagues, imagined walking into his office with new authority, and assumed a calm confidence. Not long after, a surprise vacancy opened, and he was offered the role. The shift didn't begin with external action. It began with an internal decision to be the one who belonged in that position. In this sense, your identity is your destiny. The world conforms not to your desires, but to your assumptions about who you are. So ask yourself now, who am I in relation to my desire? Am I the seeker, the struggler, or the one who already lives it? Let that question guide your thoughts, posture, and presence. This chapter is your invitation. Don't chase, transform. Don't wait for permission. Choose the new version of yourself, step into it today, and let the world adjust. In the teachings of Neville Goddard, there lies a radical idea that challenges everything we've been taught about time, effort, and manifestation. What you desire already exists, not in some distant future, but right now in another dimension of consciousness. And the only way to access it is not by waiting, but by entering the state where it is already real. Most people believe that time is linear. You start at point A, work hard, wait, and eventually reach point B. But Goddard taught something entirely different. He said that creation is finished. Every possibility already exists in the infinite field of awareness. You're not creating from scratch. You're selecting from what already is. Imagine a vast library where every version of your life is already written. The poor version, the wealthy one, the sick, the healed, the lonely, the loved, the struggling, the fulfilled. You are not the author writing the story. You are the reader choosing which book to open. And the act of choosing happens not through effort, but through assumption, the inner feeling of this is who I am now. Neville often referred to this as the now moment. Not the clock's definition of now, but the eternal now, the timeless space where all realities coexist. The moment you shift your feeling to match a new state, you've stepped into a parallel scene. The outer may not change instantly, but it will reflect your new selection. Just as a film reel doesn't change the screen immediately, but the next frames are already aligned with the chosen narrative. Consider the story of a man who deeply desired reconciliation with his estranged daughter. He hadn't spoken to her in years and believed the relationship was broken beyond repair. But after discovering Neville's work, he began to enter the feeling of having already made peace. Each night before sleep, he imagined embracing her, hearing her say, "I've missed you." He cried tears of joy as if it had already happened. Within weeks, she contacted him unexpectedly, and their relationship began to heal. What changed? His state of being, his selection. Here's the truth. You are never waiting for the future. You are only waiting for your consciousness to align with what is already true. You think the external needs to change first, but that's the illusion. The only work is internal. Stepping fully into the assumption that your desire is real now. This brings us to one of the most powerful practices Neville ever shared: revision. Most use imagination to create something new. But what if you could use it to rewrite the past? Goddard taught that the past is not fixed. It is just a memory held in place by belief and emotion. If you change the way you view a past event, you change its influence on your present and future. For example, if someone was rejected or betrayed, they often carry that pain into every relationship, expecting it to happen again. But if, in imagination, they return to that moment and rewrite it, seeing the person respond with kindness instead of cruelty, and feel the scene anew, the subconscious accepts it as the new truth. And reality begins to rearrange accordingly. There are countless stories from Neville's students where old traumas lost their power, relationships were restored, and opportunities reappeared. All because they dared to revise the past and claim a new now. But why does this work? Because the subconscious does not know past or future. It only knows now and feeling. If you impress it with a new version of reality, repeated with emotion and conviction, it accepts that version and begins projecting it outward. That's why Neville insisted, feeling is the secret. Not just visualizing an event, but immersing yourself emotionally in its truth. If you desire wealth, don't just see money. Feel the relief, the freedom, the joy. If you desire love, don't just imagine a partner. Feel cherished, feel seen, feel the warmth in your chest. If you desire health, feel the energy, the aliveness, the ease of movement. This emotional imprint becomes your vibrational signature, your invitation to the universe to deliver matching conditions. And yet, many people ask, how long will it take? Neville would say, that question already affirms delay. When you ask when, you declare it is not here. Instead, ask, what would I feel if it were true now? And live from that. Here's a daily ritual to anchor this practice. Morning alignment. Before getting out of bed, spend 5 minutes imagining your day already successful. How do you feel at the end of this perfect day? Who smiles at you? What victories have unfolded? Midday reset. When you feel stress or doubt, pause and ask, am I living in the state of the old self or the new one? Close your eyes, take a breath, and shift into the feeling of your desire fulfilled. Evening revision. Before sleep, review your day. If something didn't go as you wished, revise it. Imagine it went well. Feel the version of the day that reflects your ideal state. Say the phrase, thank you, it is all mine already. This ritual is not about ignoring reality. It is about choosing which reality to empower. The true miracle lies not in watching something appear, but in realizing you were never separate from it. Every desire is a clue, not of something to get, but of something already existing in you, waiting to be claimed. Let this chapter be your reminder. You are not a beggar of fate. You are the selector of realities. The doorway is now. The bridge is imagination. The password is feeling. The key is gratitude. Step through it again and again until your chosen state becomes the only state you know. If these ideas resonate with you and you want to continue exploring the power of consciousness, be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss upcoming chapters, practices, and deep dives into Neville Goddard's techniques. And to activate inner transformation right now, write this short phrase in the comments. I choose my new reality. These aren't just words. They are your first step in affirming a new state of being. When you type them, you're not only declaring your intention, but also amplifying the effect through collective energy. Every word you write sends a ripple into creation. Share, comment, and let's build a reality where dreams are the new normal together.